Alright, all praises to the Most High Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. Right, shalom to the ancient men, right, the ancient women, right, the men, women, children, right, that are enduring in this truth, man. Right, fighting from day to day, man. Right, through the perils and the temptations of Satan. Right, so all praise to the Most High, man. Right, so just it's not going to be a long breakdown, but and I got some notes. Right. Thought it'd be good. I'm gonna try and do like a series, man. Kind of going into right, going into the ancient historical figures, right, that did actually exist or they didn't exist. That's off. Are your mindset? Oh no, they didn't exist. They were just mythological figures that happened and expanded over time, right? First and foremost, right, these people existed, man, right? Because how do people say, oh yeah, Julius Caesar, he existed, right? They talk about all these ancient Roman people, Alexander the Great, right? The whatever he was, right? The freak, right? He existed. Artaxerxes and these people, these you know, these kings of Egypt during, I believe it's the 18th dynasty, they existed, which is around the same time of the Exodus, right? These are these they existed. But now when we talk about, people from the Bible, right? Now they're saying, oh no, they didn't he didn't exist. He didn't exist. No one believes that Bible. That's what people say, they don't believe that Bible. Right? But just because you said it, you don't believe, right? Let's get that first. This is Romans 9, right? Verse number 6. It says, not as though the word of Yahweh have taken none effect. Right? That's all I want, really, just that clause. So it doesn't matter, right? Just because you haven't seen the curses, right, happening, doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? Or just because you never saw Moses, or I didn't see Moses, I didn't see the Most High part the Red Sea, right, and it split on either side. I didn't see that. Right, I read it again. Romans 9 and 6. I'm just reading the first clause. Not as though the word of Yahweh has taken none effect. Just because you don't believe in the Most High, just because you believe in, I don't know, witchcraft, whatever. You're a Satanist, right? You're a Christian. Because even some Christians, oh no, don't take that literally, right? It doesn't matter, right? Let's go to Romans 15 and 4. So again, those that you may have just joined, right? We're just gonna go into the historical figures, man, historic figures, right? Joshua the son of Nun. So I'm gonna try and make this into like a series and cover, uh, you know, like certain the ancient forefathers, people, Shalom, Brother Tazba, Shalom, right? The ancient forefathers that existed and the proofs that are there to back it up, man. Right, so this is Romans 15 and 4. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So we have to go and read these accounts, man, of these people that are spoken of in the scriptures, man. Right. I believe when it comes to Joshua, he's mentioned around 50 times. Right. He is mentioned 50 times. And Joshua, he had that obviously I believe his name goes into, right, because I got the notes. Right, you have to have the notes, man. Right, so you have Joshua, right? We know in the Hebrew, really, that's Yahweh Shai, right? Which is um which essentially is going into Yahweh is salvation, or he has delivered. Right. Then in the Greek, right, really going into, that's where I get that madness from, right? Asus, right? That's where it comes from. So Joshua, obviously going in Hebrew, we understand that Yahweh Shai, right? Because Joshua was a deliverer, man. Right? He was a deliverer, right? Did he deliver Uber Eats, right? Right, he done Uber Eats, right? Or Ocado, right? Maybe he done UPS, right? No, not to discredit anyone that does that, right? But deliver as in he delivered, right? He was a deliverer, uh, um, of his people from the hand of the wicked, man. right? And that's the spirit that our ancient forefathers had, right? Let's go to right Maccabees, man. First Maccabees. Bro said, "Lord." Right, it's the book of First Maccabees, right? Because remember, it told you about the hammer, right? Judas Maccabees. It said that he had a salvation in his hand, right? That's just imagine being someone that had salvation in your hand, right? This is the book of First Maccabees, right? Chapter 3, and I'll start from verse number 3. Because remember, essentially, Joshua was the head of a militia, man, right? He was the head of the militia, the army of Israel. He's basically a king, right? Really the second king of Israel, right? Was Moses, right? But this is First Maccabees 3, and I'll start at verse 3. It says, "So he got his people great honor and put on a breastplate as a giant." So that's another point showing you that the giants is not literally all these damn guys that are in the book of Enoch, like it says that were rubbish in there, man. Where it says, "And put on a breastplate as a giant, and girt his warlike harness about him, and he made battles, protecting the host with his sword." So and he was out there, man. Just like when you gotta be out there at camp with your sword, man. Right? Brother saying, "Oh no, I didn't. I don't have it." Right? You just got the Psalms in the New Testament, right? So it says, "In his axe was like a lion, and like a lion's whelp roaring for his prey, for he pursued the wicked and sought them out and burnt up those that vexed his people. Wherefore the wicked shrunk for fear of him, and all the works of iniquity were troubled." See that? You gotta have that kind of spirit. And Joshua had the same spirit, man. Right? All these workers of iniquity, which is other nations, right? And even our own people, right? It says, I'll read it again, First Maccabees 3 and 6. "Wherefore the wicked shrunk for fear of him, and all the workers of iniquity, so like were guilt, so like all the workers of iniquity were troubled, because salvation prospered in his hand." So Judas Maccabeus, just like unto Joshua, he had salvation in his hand, right? This I'll read on verse 7. It says, "He grieved also many kings, and made Jacob with his axe, and his memorial was blessed forever." See that? So, Joshua had that spirit, man. Right? So again, that name Joshua goes into, again, because remember Joshua's name was changed, but let's get that. Right? Joshua was, right, evidently you should know from the name and the title, right? Joshua the son of Nun. Right? Get to Numbers 13 and verse 8. Right? Numbers 13 and verse 8 says, Numbers chapter 13 and 8. Going into the spies, right? So Joshua was like he was a man of war, man. Right? Like Exodus 15 and 3. He was a man of war. Right? Remember, he was amongst the slaves in the time of the Exodus. Right? He's like Moses is what is it? I wrote it down. Essentially being uh where was it, man? But I'll get it through the Spirit, Lord willing. Right? This is Numbers 13 and 8. "Of the tribe of Ephraim, Oshea the son of Nun." So obviously, and remember, obviously, Ephraim and Judah, essentially those are the those two main tribes, essentially, right? You know, Judah and Ephraim, you know, right? Like Ephraim is made of many. Ephraim is essentially the head of the other nine tribes. Come on, right? So he's from the tribe of Ephraim, right? Oshea was his name, but it says in verse 16, Numbers 13 and 16, "These are the names of the men." You see that? The light issue. Right? This is Numbers 13 and 16. "These are the names of the men which Moses sent to spy out the land, And Moses called O'Shea, the son of Nun, Joshua, right? So that's Joshua there, right? Numbers 13 and 16, where his name is changed. Meaning, because Moses, he knew, yeah, this guy, yeah, he got the spirit, man, right? At the Most High, he kind of pick, even in the army, they'll find, yo, this guy, he's the general, right? That's why when you read Maccabees, right, that's the same spirit, man, that Mattathias had when it came to his sons, right? He wouldn't put the man, this guy, he's not really that good at war, at warring, but at maybe he's better at being a tactician. You ain't gonna put this guy in the front line because he's not really good at that. He might be able to plan and do this and they kind of move like that. Right? But that's what you see the managers do on the football pitches, man. Right? They're doing this. And people tell people come forward and go back. Right? But this is First Maccabees, chapter 2. Right? This is First Maccabees, chapter 2, and I'll start from. See that? It's the book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, and I'll start from verse 64. It says, "Wherefore you, my sons, be valiant and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it shall you obtain glory." So by the commandments, that's how we obtain glory. Anyone tell you otherwise, no, don't keep the law. Or keep the law by your faith. If you have faith, you're going to keep it. Verse 65, "And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you." So Simon, Mattathias chose Simon, and he was the man of counsel. Okay, maybe a counsel, judgment or whatever. He would be that guy, right? Verse 66. "As for Judas Maccabeus, he have been mighty and strong even from his youth up. Let him be your captain and fight the battle of the people." You see that? So, the Most High, he's always the man ready for the job. He's this guy, yeah. Set this guy up, he'll be good. Right? But nonetheless, so yeah, that's what it was. Essentially, Joshua, he was a war general, man. Right? I remember they had that. Right? They had the captains, right? They had the captains, man. The captains over tens, right? Thousands, right? Officers, right? Officer Judah, Officer Benjamin, Officer Ephraim, right? They had that, right? But not obviously as we know it today, man, right? Probably, obviously, again, that's a righteous acts, man. Rehearsing the righteous acts, to the best as we can. But this the book of um Deuteronomy, right? Because again, this is the second law when the younger generation are receiving those commandments, man. This is Deuteronomy chapter 1, and I'll start from verse 15. "So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, captains over hundreds, and captains over fifties, and captains over tens, and officers among your tribe." Right? So they would have officers that would be leading that. Right? In the army, you have officers, you got see, I got the names in that. You got corporal, lance corporal, right? You got the lieutenant, right? General, right? Sergeants, right? You got all these different terms, right? You got cavalry, you know what I'm saying? You got these different terms for particular roles that, a man may have within an army, man, within a regiment, right? So that's the same thing they had, right? Let's go to um Exodus 17 and 9. Right? It's the book of Exodus, chapter 17 and verse 9. And this is during the time of the war with Amalek, man. Right? This is the book of Exodus, chapter 17 and verse number 8. It says, "Then came Amalek and fought with Israel in Rephidim." Right? "And Moses said unto Joshua, Choose out men and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the rod of Yahweh in my hand." So obviously, when Moses was standing on the hill, if he rose the staff up, Israel will begin to win, right? And if he dropped it, they kind of had to hold him up, man, right? So Joshua, he was he was a war general, right? Moses said, yeah, we need something, man. Right, get these guys. Right. So when you read on, I'm gonna jump to because Joshua, he was dark, man. When you really get into it, man, Joshua was dark, man. Right. And that's the thing in the army, man. You can't come with that emotion, man. Right? You're getting you're doubting. Don't doubt the Lord. Right? This is Proverbs, right? Chapter 20, and I believe 10. Right? So but no, it's like that. Book of Joshua, chapter 24 and 10. It says Joshua chapter 24 and 10. See that Joshua 24 and 10, Salakia. Proverbs chapter 24 and 10. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. You see that? So that's off. That's off. You're in the middle of war. You can't even put your helmet on correctly. Your helmet's facing that way. You're holding your sword by the actual the sharp edge. Right? You're cutting yourself. You can't put your boots on properly. You come into camp. You you're wearing your left foot on. You're wearing your left foot on your right foot. Right? Hey man, you gotta be ready, man. Right? It says in verse 11, if thou forbear to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain, if thou sayest, behold, we knew it not, doeth he, it's like it doeth not he that pondereth the heart consider it, and he that keepeth thy soul, doeth not he know it, and shall not he render to every man according to his work? So hey, he wasn't saying, oh no, I'm not really feeling it, you know. I'm not really ready. I'm not ready. Imagine Joshua saying that to Moses. Moses kind of think, hey, shut up, man. What are you talking about? Get it together. But if you faint in that day of adversity when you're tried, you're supposed to be brought forth to lead, right? And you gotta deal with it, man. Oh no, I'm not don't want to lead. Telling that to Moses, Moses kind of look at you like, this guy's off, right? So so just a few points, right? So Moses, right? So essentially, obviously, after the death of Moses, right? Let me get that as well. I'm gonna get that, Lord willing. So essentially, after the death of Moses, right? Joshua becomes a leader over Israel, right? This is around 14, right? Circa, right? You got to learn these words, circa, which is around 1406, right? It's around the death of Moses, around 1406, right? Because essentially the date of the Exodus maybe is around like I believe 1450, right? Around that time period, right? And we're gonna get that. This is Deuteronomy chapter 31, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 31. And we are going to get into Joshua, Lord willing. Right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 31 and verse 23. So look at Deuteronomy chapter 31 and I'll start at verse 21. Right? It says, see that? Deuteronomy 31 and verse 21. It says, and it shall come to pass when many evils and troubles are befallen them. I'm going to jump down. Verse 22. I'm going to jump straight to the point. Verse 23. And he gave Joshua the son of Nun a charge and said, be strong and of a good courage, for thou shalt bring the children of Israel into the land which I swear unto them, and I will be with thee. So, hey, man, so you can't, hey, he didn't faint. Oh, no, Moses, man. Why don't you just pick Eliezer? Right? Why don't you just pick Eliezer? I'm not really fit for the job. Right? That's off. Right? You gotta have the mindset of being strong. You can't have fear, man. Oh, I'm scared. Right? Right. So again, that's when he becomes the leader over the congregation, man. Right? And I'll start at verse 24 as I'll read on. And it came to pass when Moses had made an end of writing the words of this law in a book until they were finished, that Moses commanded the Levites, which bear the ark of the covenant, take this book of the law and put it inside of the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, that it may be for a witness against you, right? So essentially, that's going into the table stones that are within inside the Ark of the Covenant, right? And Joshua had the responsibility over that, man. Right. So, um, in terms of like your archaeology, right? Just a few points on the archaeology, right? You got the archaeological site, right, called the Tel El Sultan, right, which scholars say, right, you can Google this. They say that this was a massive walls that collapsed, right, um, and they date it to around 14 BC, right, 1400 BC. So like I said, 14 BC. They date that to around 1400 BC, which is around the same time, right, of again, the death of Moses, going into that conquest of led by Joshua, right? So, and then this is further affirmed as well. We've done with excavations that were done by these Edomites, man. A guy called John Garstag, right? And it goes into like mentioning about a thick layer of ash and debris, right? Which is you know that's how they date. That's how they create get the dates, man. Something called it's called layering, right? You got something called stratigraphy, right? Stratigraphy is another way that's to do with layering, right? The layers at the top, right, are early, right, and then obviously the layers at the bottom, right, they're obviously from they date, they're not, I wouldn't say prehistoric, but they're older essentially. Just like there's a thing called mud flood, right? If people know about it, they say that certain places they just kind of build over it, right? But obviously, dig deep, kind of see certain houses just in the ground. They just kind of build over stuff, just really off. Right? Esau building, with the desolate places, right? And then another point is, but this is going into the time of the judges, right? Of judges itself. You got like Samson, I believe, Othniel, I think, is another, right? You got the Meneptah Stele, which is, I believe, that's like, I think I got it here as well, which is another a mentioning of and proof of Israel's existence, man. And not just some random stranger just in the middle of nowhere. Right. So you got the what is it? Meneptah Stele, right? The Merneptah Stele, right? This is Pharaoh Meneptah's victory still mentions Israel for the first time in non-biblical history. So that's after the time. Just obviously Joshua is long gone after this, right? Joshua's he's falling asleep at this point, right? But this is in the time of the judges, showing you that you know Israel's existence, right, after the time of Joshua, right? So just I'm gonna get a few more points as well. I might pull up a book. So I can't really show this on here, but um, let me see. Right, and nonetheless, right. So cool. On the point of the Meneptah Stele, right? It says the hieroglyphic text. So this is obviously going into the time of the judges, right? That's where they date it, around 1230 BC. Right. It says the hieroglyphic text of the stele made in Egypt describes the victories of Pharaoh Meneptah around 1230 over the Libyans and the people of Canaan. Right. It stands around 7 feet. Right. In the find itself, it contains the earliest extra biblical mention of the name Israel thus far known. So this Pharaoh, he bragged about the victory over Israel, right? So can't, right? Another book, right? You gotta get your books, right? It's another book. It's called the Bible, right? It's called the Bible Unearthed, right? This is by, see that, Israel Finkelstein, right? And Neil Asher. See these, probably Edomites. Neil Asher Sibelman, right? Sibelman, right? But particularly on page 72, right? And this is outside sources, referring to, the conquest of um, Canaan, right? So this is on page. I'm gonna try and jump through it. It says the conquest of Canaan. This is page 72, right? I'm gonna I'm gonna jump ahead, right? Because there's many cities that were taken. Two at the top of my head, you had the city of Ai, right, and you had um obviously Jericho as well, right, and obviously going into Rahab, right. So there was a point I kind of right clocked here, right. So there's a point on page 81. It says um I'll start at page 81. It says the Hazor excavation showed that the splendor of the Canaanite city, right? And I believe the city. I'll start a few paragraphs up. It says Yadin discovered that although Hazard's peak of prosperity occurred in the Middle Bronze Age, it continued to prosper well into the Late Bronze Age, right? Which is going into that time of that around 1400 BC. It was a fabulous city with temples and a huge palace. That palace's opulence in architectural styles, statuary, and other small finds also already hinted at the results of Yadin's excavation, has since been undiscovered in the 1990s in the course of the renewed excavation at Heza led by Amon Ben Tor of the Hebrew University. A number of cuneiform tablets hint at the presence of royal archive. One of the recovered tablets bears the royal name Ibni, and a king of Hazar named Ibn Adu is mentioned in the Mari archive. Though both date to much earlier times in the Middle Bronze Age, etymologically they may relate etymologically to the name of Jabin, the king of Hazor, mentioned in the Bible. Right? The suggestive reoccurrence of this name may indicate that it was a dynastic name associated with Hazar for centuries and remembered long after the city was destroyed. The Hazar excavation showed that the splendor of the Canaanite city, like that of many other cities were in various parts of the country, came to a brutal end in the 30th century BCE. Suddenly, with no apparent alarm and little sign of decline, Hazar was attacked, destroyed, and set ablaze. The mud brick walls of that palace, which were baked red from the terrible conflagration, are still preserved today to a height of 6 feet. After a period of abandonment, a poor settlement was established in one part of the vast ruins. Its pottery resembled that of the early Israelite settlements in the Central Hill country to the south. Thus, for much of the 20th century, archaeology seemed to confirm the Bible's account. Unfortunately, the scholarly consensus would eventually dissolve. Right, so just a little bit, kind of going into that history, man. You know what I'm saying? Right, that conquest, and as well, man, that conquest, didn't just happen straight away, man. Right, didn't just happen straight away. Right, and as well when it comes to like archaeological or even you know historical dates, they actually use the Bible, you know, to get dates, man. Right, it's just another point. Right, but they don't use it 100%, but they use it. They use the Bible, but they say they don't need to. They don't need to, but we understand through the Spirit and power of the Most High, Yahweh Shem Shai, that that's the ultimate source. If it doesn't line up with that, start going off, man. Right. So let me see if there's any more. Um, so it's another point on page 79, right? And then I'm gonna kind of go back to Joshua. Right, Lord, go into Joshua. It says there are, however, it says in the footsteps of Joshua, right? It says there are. So this book does mention the Meneptah stele as well. And again that because it says something. Let's see that. Um, yeah, I'll read it again. This is verse 70, page 79. Sorry. The only independent mention of the name Israel in this period, the victory stele of Meneptah, announces only that this otherwise obscure people living in Canaan had suffered a crushing defeat. Something clearly doesn't add up when the biblical account, the archaeological evidence, and the Egyptian records are placed side by side. Right. So you know, there's a mention of Israel, but this is way after Joshua's time, nonetheless, right? But again, the point is there's a mention of Israel, right? But I kind of yield on that point, right? And I'll go into the book of Joshua, man, right? Go into the book of Joshua, man, right? You want to have that kind of spirit, Joshua, man, right? Because he gathered the people, man, you know, right? It's the book of Joshua, chapter 1, and Joshua wasn't effeminate, right? He was shook and timid and scared, man, right? He had faith, right? And he knew how to rid the people of wickedness, man, right? Remember, Joshua circumcised the people, right? It's the book of Joshua, chapter 5 and verse 2, right? It says, I'll start at verse 1. And it came to pass when all the kings of the Amorites which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites which were by the sea, heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel until we were passed over, that their heart melted, neither was their spirit in them anymore, because the children of Israel. So that's your heart melted. Imagine seeing somebody, oh gosh, you start sweating and you're doing this and it's too hot, right? It says, verse 2, at that time the Lord said unto Joshua, make thee sharp knives and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time. Because remember, the older generation, they obviously didn't circumcise their children, right? They weren't circumcised, they kind of had to, they were getting circumcised, man. Right now we know, we see through the spirit, that once you miss that eighth day, that's that, man, But they were circumcised. This is verse 3. And Joshua made him sharp knives and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise all the people that came out of Egypt. So all the men that came out of Egypt that were males, even the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way after they came out of Egypt. So again, I read verse 5. It says, now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way as they came forth out of Egypt, they had not circumcised. So remember, they went off. So like we read in First Maccabees 2, I believe it was 64, 65, about how when you do things by the law, essentially that's your deliverance, man. Right? So they didn't keep the law, man. So essentially, hey, man, and they kept the law during wartime, right? As well, it's another point. Remember, and this is all by the hand of the Most High, or Shimi Shai, right? Now he's saying by Joshua, right? Because it's technically the same thing, right? But you know what I'm saying, right? So, Khan, right? I'm gonna kind of get into this, man. Right, let's get into another precept. Right, I'm kind of gonna jump in and around, when it comes to the book of Joshua. This is Joshua 1, and I'll start verse number 5. It says, there shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life, as I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. So this is obviously the Most High, telling Joshua, hey, look, man, right, don't be shook, don't be scared. Hey, I got you. Right, that's what he's saying. Right, just like how he dealt with Moses. Right, because remember, Moses showed Israel seed signs with dealing with when the Most High was dealing with Moses, man. They seen the signs, right? It says, verse 6, be strong and of a good courage, for unto this people, that's the Most High, you commanded to do that, essentially, right? Be strong and of a good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them, right? So, when they went to take the land, take the city, like it says, let me get that as well, right? Joshua, he was over that. Yeah, you guys go over there, right? Because remember, I believe it says about the half tribe of Manasseh, right? Um, I believe it's Manasseh, the half tribe of Manasseh. Uh, uh I want to say Reuben, right? There were three tribes that were on, when you look at the maps, they're on the west. I want to say west, the east side of the Jordan, I believe, right? They were given. They said, look, they were on that side. So let's see if I can get that. Let's see if I can get that. Um, yeah, this is our before I get Daniel. This is Joshua chapter 1, and I'll start at verse 12. And to the Reubenites, so it's here Reuben, and to the Gadites, and to the half tribe of Manasseh, spake Joshua, saying, Remember the word which Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, saying, The Lord your God have given you rest, and have given you this land, your wives and your little ones. I'm gonna jump down. I'm gonna jump down to 15. Until the Lord had given your brethren rest, as he have given you, and they also have possessed the land which the Lord your God giveth them. Then you shall return unto your land, to the land of your possession, and enjoy it, which Moses the Lord's servant gave you on this side Jordan toward the sun rising, which is the east. So that's why they're on the east. When you look at maps, you'll see that you can see you see Reuben's kind of to the bottom right of the what we understand to be the Jordan, right? Then you have I believe then you have I think it's Manasseh in the middle, and I think Gad is above that, right? I think, right? So that's the portion of land that they were given, right? And essentially, you know, and if I had obviously, if I, on a computer, I could kind of obviously pull it up. But this is Daniel 7 and verse 18. It says, But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess it, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So, hey man, they're gonna the same way they done that, the same way we're gonna do that, right? Not gonna be some coup d'etat, right? Someone after, hold on, let's break it up, guys. Right, it's the book of and just to prove that as well, this is that Ezekiel chapter 47 and verse 21. So shall ye divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. So even Ezekiel, obviously prophecy and that seeing essentially of the land, right? To divide that they're gonna divide the land up, man. Tribes, each tribe they got got to take our land, man. Right? It says verse 22, and it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. They shall have an inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. Because again, right? Again, you might have a brother. He's I don't know. He's from over there, right? He might have been like Paul of Tarsus, man. You weren't born in Israel, right? So when he comes back into that land, and you got to treat him as one that was born in the land. Oh yeah, he's off, and you're doing this, right? You can't have this. You can't have this corn, right? That's off, right? But can let me get that as well. I think in Joshua chapter, what was it? 8, right? Joshua 8. He said you got to take the city, man. Right? This is Joshua chapter 8, and I'll start at verse number Joshua 8. Alright. I'm reading it on my phone. Usually highlight, right? But nonetheless, man. This is Joshua chapter 8, and I'll start at verse number 7. It says, Then ye shall rise up from the ambush and seize upon the city, for the Lord your God will deliver it into your hands. Again, this is it's a dual prophecy, if you want to say, man. Right? Because obviously that happened in the time of Joshua. That's gonna happen again. Right? It says verse number 8. And it shall be when ye have taken the city that ye shall set the city on fire according to the commandment of the Lord shall ye do. See, I have commanded you. So once you take the city, you gotta clean it out. Just like once we conquer these lands, man, because it's gonna happen, man. Ain't like if you watch the breakdowns, the kingdom's not gonna be built up in one day. Right? So you're gonna have to seize the city, man. Right? So we're gonna get a few more. Right? Get a few more precepts, man. Because hey, Joshua, right? When you read Joshua 7, man, right? You had a Can, right, or a Shan, right? He took the Babylonian garment, man. This covetous, and Joshua kind of had to get him out of there, man. Right? This is Joshua chapter 7, and I'll start at verse number. I'll start at 6. It says, and Joshua rent his clothes and fell to the earth upon his face before the ark of the Lord until the eventide. He and the elders of Israel, and put dust upon their heads. So he mourned, man. They were kind of, you got to have that spirit to mourn for your people, like it says in Ezekiel 9. Right, those that lament for their people, man. Most High's kind of put a mark on them as well. Right, and you got those that they don't care about their people. They keep pouring out women of their own nation. Hey, the Most High, he got something in store for you. Right, it says, verse 7. Joshua said, "Alas, O Lord, God, wherefore hast thou at all brought this people over Jordan to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites, to destroy us? Would to God we had been content and dwelt on the other side Jordan. O Lord, what shall I say when Israel turneth their backs before their enemies, man?" So he's kind of saying, look, man, like you're kind of pleading with the Most High, look, you know, have you delivered us here? You know what I'm saying? To be destroyed, man, right? And when you jump down, hey, Most High kind of told him, get up off your. I'm gonna read it. It's Joshua 7:10, and the Lord said unto Joshua, get thee up. Wherefore liest thou there, thou dust upon thy face? Why are you lying on your face for, man? Get the hell up, right? It's madness. Yeah, that's madness. I'm gonna have to end this. You guys just punching the gate, fam. The church gate and that. Yeah. All right, Salakia, right? But nonetheless, man. Um, Moses kind of told him, "Hey, man, get up off your face, man." Right? And I'm gonna jump down to verse number um Joshua 7:19. And Joshua said unto Achan, my son, give, I pray thee, glory to the Lord God of Israel, and make confession unto him, and tell me now what thou hast done. Hide it not from me. So he kind of told, yo, man, what's going on? What did you do, man? Right? That's a shakedown spirit. What did you do? Right? And obviously, Achan told him about, the garment. Right? I'm going to jump down to verse uh, 25. It says, and Joshua said, why hast thou troubled us? The Lord shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned them with stones and burned them with fire after they had stoned them with stones. So hey, Joshua they had to deal with that, man. They had to kind of get that out of there, man. Right? And that's the spirit that we gotta have when it comes to wickedness, evil, and especially dealing with being covetous, man. You gotta be able to deal with that, man. But hey, nonetheless, man, right? Lord willing, that was edifying, going into Joshua, right? But calm, man. Right, we'll praise to the Most High. Say shalom.